Review here where we're up to, and we'll conclude. Quick review. Don't read the text because you're not going to hear what I'm saying. You won't understand. Or maybe you will understand the text, but you won't hear. What are we talking about? So the basic question is as follows. We are told that angels from Eretz Yisrael do not go out of Eretz Yisrael. That's why when Yaakov dreamt that dream, as he's leaving Israel, angels go up and angels come down. Who's going up? Who's coming down? The angels of Eretz Yisrael are going up. New angels are coming down from the chutzlars, the diaspora, to accompany him and protect him for the next 20 years. And Rashi tells us, black and white, the angels from Eretz Yisrael must go up because angels from Eretz Yisrael do not go outside Eretz Yisrael. They stop at the border. So therefore, we had a very big question. Because 20 years later, when Yaakov comes back from Chodah, which is where his swindler of an uncle lived, Lavan, 20 years later, he comes back to Israel. We read the last words of the parsha, that angels went out to greet him in the diaspora. Who were these angels? Went out from Eretz Yisrael to greet him. They crossed the border. But we just learned angels do not cross the border. And you cannot answer that they crossed the border in order to protect him so that he comes home safely. Why is that not a satisfactory answer? Because he still had the angels from the diaspora till the border. They're protecting him. Black and white, this is all in the psukim. That's the basic question. We answered last week, and we said, that when your angels are going out as an honor to Yaakov, to welcome him back to Israel, that's not considered leaving Israel because they're welcoming him home. Going on a mission in the diaspora, you're leaving? Is angels from Eretz Yisrael don't do that. You need another set of angels to do that for the mission of protecting him during his sojourn in the diaspora. But these angels that are crossing the border to welcome him home, it's all out of the honor of Israel. They're welcoming a son, a daughter back home. That's not considered leaving. So that's not in violation of the principle that angels don't leave Israel. If they were to go on a new mission to protect him, that's not your job. It's other angels. They're going to welcoming him back. That's all considered part of the honor of Israel and their status of angels of the Holy Land. Clear? Which explained, just briefly, why in halacha, the halacha is, as we mentioned, a person may not leave Israel. Period. You go there, you can't leave. Which is why the Rebbe never went, because he said, I can't leave. I can't go back to New York, where I need to be to have my influence on Israel and on world Jewry. And he used to tell everybody, find me a heter, an halacha that I could go and leave, I'll come. They told him once, one of the prime ministers was, 1 million people will be at the airport to welcome you. I have a smile, thank you, very nice. But I can't go and leave. There are 3 exceptions where you can. 3. Marry, panosa, livelihood. You can't make a living there, so you can go. The question is, why doesn't the halacha bring the 4th exception when you're going to welcome someone to come back? The answer is, that's not an exception. The first 3 are exceptions. You should not leave the Holy Land. We'll give you an exemption. No choice. What can we do? You can't find a wife. Really, we'd hope you find her there. You can't. We're not going to force you to stay here. Go. And the second was yeshiva is not a good yeshiva. There's a better one there. Learn Torah. Go. Can't make a living. Go. They're exceptions. But going to greet someone coming is not an exception. That's part of the honor of Israel. So that's why it's not mentioned in that list. It doesn't belong in that category. They are passes. What's the word? Exemptions. They override the law. These three cases. Welcoming someone doesn't override any law. That's Israel. That's its honor. End of story. And we answer the question. That's why the angels from Israel could go into the diaspora and welcome him back. It's not considered leaving. Well, the question still persists. And what would be if they'd stand at the border? With a big welcome sign, outstretched wings. Yankele, welcome home. That's not enough covered. Doesn't need their protection. He's got the angels from the diaspora. Why do they have to actually cross the border? What's gained? And it's not just as valuable, just as honorable for Israel, for Yaakov to be there with the big signs, welcome home. Doesn't that accomplish the honor? It's an honor, God. They went out to accompany him, covet. No. So at the airport, stay at the airport with a big contingent. Why'd they have to go? So the answer is, we started to explain. Very deep answer. Stage one, and we'll continue because we ain't finished. Yaakov's going to his story is the story of every one of us personally and the story of Klal Yisrael. It's not just Yaakov, it's Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, all our three patriarchs and our four mothers. Everything that happened to their lives is a portend for what will happen in the future. As explained in the Medrash. Just one little example. Avram goes down to Egypt, and it's very unpleasant. Sarah is abducted and then leaves with great wealth. Exactly what happens. We go down to Egypt, we're abducted slaves, we leave with great wealth. And one example of all of the stories that happened, they're the stories of Klal Yisrael in the future and of each individual person. Yaakov going down to Haran, Yaakov's the third and final patriarch. He is the choice one. He's the ultimate. He's the ultimate. He leaves Israel. He goes to Haran. This Haran means, if you recall, anger. It's an angry place of conflict and ego and so on. He goes there. What happens there? He marries and he establishes the 12 tribes of Israel. His grandfather and father did not achieve that. Never mind, didn't have the 12 tribes. Each one had two kids. One was tzaddik and the other one was not. Ishmael to Avram, Esav to Yitzchak. And they're born in Israel. Yaakov, Haran. In Haran, they're not perfect, but they're tzaddikim. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, if you know the real stories, they're extraordinary. I'm not going to go into details, but even in their conflict with Yosef, because like how could brothers do that? We've talked about that. It's not our subject now, but as I'm mentioning it, they saw Yosef's behavior as a danger to the survival of Klal Yisrael. They did this because it had to be done in their mind, because they see Yosef fraternizing and going, he's outward, like he's a man of the world. In their view, Judaism will not survive if we're going to be people of the world. We have to insulate and isolate. It's the wrong model. They were wrong. They were wrong. In the end, we can and must, and that's our mission. But in the very early stages of our history, that was unthinkable. To be Jewish, you've got to be a shepherd, not be in the hustle bustle of the city and his temptations. The way he dressed Yosef and the way he engaged, he's going the wrong way. We'll assimilate. If that's the model, we will not survive 2 generations. We'll assimilate and disappear. That's why, realizing that they're the foundation of Klal Yisrael, he's got to be removed. So we go deeper in the story. It's all motivated, really. And it was painful, but they had to do it. In the end, they were wrong. Because, as we're seeing, I'm going to explain now, and if you hear endlessly, this is the whole mission, as Hasidus has explained it. It's not about divorcing yourself from the world, isolating. It's about engaging and transforming it. This is a lesson that's not learned easily. It takes a long time. In the early days of our history, that makes no sense. The world's a terrible place. Stay away. And Yosef's going the wrong way. This is an example. Just want to tell you that the The tribes were great tzaddikim, all of them, way beyond us. And who fathers them? Yaakov. And where? In Haran. What's else to say? Yaakov represents the mission of the Jew. Send down to the world. This world is Haran. It's an angry place. Why is it an angry place? Join us, Alan. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Kaparayim. It's an angry place. You know why this world's an angry place? Anger, our sages say like this. It's a very powerful statement. Gewalt, gewalt. If you're angry, it's like you served idols. Kol hakoyes ki ilo eved avodah zarah. Now that's like, okay, being angry is not nice, but like idol worship. Doesn't that sound a little or very extreme? Hyperbole. What would our sages say? If you get angry, it's like you worshipped idols. Whoa, I'm a from Jew, observant Jew. I put on tefillin, I keep kosher, I got a long beard, white socks, I give tzedakah. I got angry, so I'm an idol worshiper, which is the worst sin possible. What does this mean? So Chassidus explains. Why are you getting angry? You're getting angry because how could you do this to me? This isn't right. What's that betraying? You know what that betrays? Being angry betrays God doesn't run the world. Not for me. If one has true faith and lives it, whatever happens to me is meant to be. It's a very deep idea. But here's the question. Let me address this. How can we say it's meant to be when you have free choice and you wronged me? It's not meant to be. You got free choice. So the Alter Rebbe in Tanya explains it's a very, very deep idea, a very deep truth, very deep truth. You have free choice, that's true. But that it happened to me was meant to be. And if you hadn't chosen to do it, what happened to me some other way? You hear? So the fact that you did it, you got to do your teshuvah. But I don't get angry at you because this had to happen to me. You had to hit my car, insult me, whatever you did that hurt me. This had to happen to me. Wouldn't be you. Someone find another way. So the true attitude of the true one who lives his faith truly never gets angry. It's meant to be. Even the person who did it is no good Nick and he chose wrongly. He's got free choice. That's your teshuvah. That's your business. It happened to me. I look in here. Why did it happen? What's the message to me? Yeah, this is an incredible attitude. An inane example. You know, someone drove carelessly and banged into my brand new car that just took off the parking lot. And the guy was careless. He went through a stop sign on his phone. It just actually happened to me. Oh, it was brand new, and I just drove off and hit something, scratched it right off the. So I'm going to be angry at just myself. But now, what's the proper attitude here? This guy that went through the stop sign, he did the wrong thing. He's got to pay whatever it is, his business. Me, it's a message from heaven. Maybe I'm a little bit too excited about my car. Maybe I'm putting a little bit too much excitement about physical things. Maybe a little bit too much passion there at the expense of my wife and children. Maybe my priorities have to be tweaked a bit. Car is nice and a nice car, but maybe I'm taking this a little bit too far, or maybe a lot too far. So I need to see this as a sign from heaven that my car got hit as, whoa, you got to reevaluate, recalibrate. So therefore, our sages say, whoever gets angry is a subtle form of idolatry. It's saying, this shouldn't have happened. You're denying that God runs the world and it was meant to be for you.
Is anger, though, something is a sentiment towards someone else? Because you can be frustrated, but not necessarily angry.
Even frustration. It's not as bad as anger. But if a true person who lives, doesn't come with the type of a figure. It's just hard work.
What if it
Just
leads to action and tshuva?
then it's the anger.
I'm saying that like that, what he's referring to, frustration,
Ha-
if that leads to change.
How would that happen?
You're not happy with the way things are going, but you rationalize that it is from above.
All right. So then something else. But you're not going to convey their frustration, anger to that person. It'll be inward, frustrated with it. There's suffering in the world and injustice. I'm going to fix it. That's a good thing. There is room for anger, evil, anger internalized, that if it motivates to change, then it has this righteous indignation. But we're clearly separating. Even then, it's meant to be in order to stir me to change. That's the indignation. But it's never directed against that person. This is an amazing way to live. Such a person is always calm. There's a deep serenity, no matter what circumstance he is. Hashem governs the world. He has one question in every situation. What do I need to do? What's my obligation? I've told you many times, the celebrated Chassid, Rav Mendel Futterfass, I think I gave this little book. It's a wonderful little book that someone collected stories about him. A beautiful little book. One page. I read it every Friday night in Shabbos day at our table. I have a copy of it downstairs. Just this Rav Mendel, the man was 17 years in various gulags and prisons. Gulags was harshest conditions. Many didn't survive them. His big crime was he was a leader in the Lubavitch underground and many other crimes. Telling you, the guy came out of Russia. You would meet him. You would have no clue. He wasn't crushed and he wasn't some great hero, lofty. One of the boys' sense of humor intact. Just, you would never had no idea. Not lofty, not because why? And Mendel lived with one thing. No anger. It's you run the world. How do I serve you now? They took away my tefillin. You know what my tefillin? I have a tin cup with water. I can make a bracha. I can bring good cheer to my neighbor that were in the bunk. So that's how I serve you. Whatever he prays in you by heart, wherever he was, London, the Gulag, Israel, New York. Just one thing. You run the world. How do I serve now? That's living with faith, truly. This person, not anger, it's idolatry. When anger, as in not fair, this, how could you, shouldn't you did this to me? It's a very high level again, that doesn't come through wishful thinking, which is why we have to daven 3 times a day. Question: how many times a day do we have to say God's wonderful? Once in a lifetime is also an achievement. Once a day, 3 times a day, God is one. Shema Yisrael, twice. God is one. God is what? We're davening so often because our senses, our ego, we don't feel the truth that Hashem runs the world. He's the reality, and and therefore we're breakers a lot of the time. We're angry and frustrated. So we have to daven again and again and again to think again and again and hit the pause button. Wait a second. Whose world is this? Hashem creates it and governs it, and all is meant to be. It's all meant to be. I have one question. What's my responsibility now? It doesn't come naturally, because naturally ego. Naturally is we're selfish. And it's just all about me. That's how God made us. And we need to overcome that constantly. And hence, constantly davening, declaring God is one, which means he's the only reality. And everything which happens is a consequence of his will. But again, as Ronnie says, because this could lead to a pacifist. So if he runs the world, everything is good, which is like $1,000 Hinduism, Buddhism. Everything is God. Everything is God. So there's nothing to fix, nothing to do. I spent nights with these people, trust me, getting down to the core of it. Because Jews are attracted to this because they're looking for spirituality. They didn't get it, unfortunately, in the schools they went to. We have to change the world. We have to change the world. It's a curious map. God runs the world, all meant to be. But part of that meant to be is that I should partner with him and change it. So that's not an angry response. That's a motivated response. Or you can call it righteous indignation, but it's not ego anger. This is intolerable that they're suffering and pain. We need to fix it. God has given me that mission. We can and we will. That's a positive. So yes, God runs the world. It's all meant to be, but part of that meant to be is we partner and fix it. That's part of the meant to be. So the Jew has only one question constantly. What's my responsibility now? What do I do now? And Hashem gave us the Torah, where there's no mystery in every situation in life. This is how you react. This is what you do. Wife, children, business, politics, everything clear, direct. To be continued. Have a wonderful day. We're in the middle. We'll continue.